Well, Bree, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for joining us this morning. Um, you know, this is going to be not a session on judge, and what exactly is the deduction, but another one where we're trying to train our eyes to be a little bit better. And as we get into the videos, you'll see it 3 times. First, you'll see it quick, then you'll see it slow, and then you'll see it slow motion with the angles drawn in. Now, for some people, I'll just let you know, I used iMovie to video these on my iPad, and then with iMovie, I was able to put them in slow motion, and then to draw the angles, I used Coach's Eye, and both of those apps are freebies. So, come on. I am trying to make my slideshow move, and it's not moving. Help. This is a new one. Okay, we'll go back from the beginning. There we go. The genesis of this idea, I was serving as the chair for the education chair in Minnesota, and I asked the judges, gosh, what would you like to learn more about? And one of our long-term experience judges said to me, I'm really embarrassed because I've been judging a long time, high level, but I really think I need help see casts better. So that's what caused me to put this together. It's been a lot of fun because I found going into the gym and having kids do casts really helped me too. So here's our goal. I put it in, and if anybody wants to put in an answer of what they think the goal is for the session, I didn't write it out. I just put it in pictures because I'm visual and hopefully you are. I'll give you 6 seconds, as Tom gave you 5. I'll give you 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did anybody try to answer that one, Bree?
I think there's a slight delay on the Q&A because I tend to get the questions like a minute after we're on that topic. So I don't see anything right now, but.
Nobody's brave enough to guess. Okay, well, here's what my graphics say. The goal for this session is by the end of this session that you will more clearly see cast angles confidently. And I love the kid with the cape there. So we're going to be looking for cast angles. We have some guidance on cast angles. If the gymnast has a shoulder angle, we measure that cast angle from the shoulder through the midpoint of her lowest body part, which can be her stomach, it could be her hips, it could be her knees, it could be her feet. If there's no shoulder angle, in other words, if she's nearing the handstand phase, then we draw a line from the hands through the midpoint of the lowest body part. And then also the angle of completion of a cast is when the hips are extended and the legs are together. Now, sometimes our kids don't bring their feet together on their casts. So if they have their hips extended, but their feet are still, or the legs are still apart, then we would deduct for leg separation. And here's a picture of a kid with a cast with the shoulder angle. And you see that we would measure the angle from her shoulder through her lowest body part. In this particular situation, her lowest body part is her toes. And if we have a kid with no shoulder angle, she's casting near the handstand, we would measure from the hands through the lowest body part. In this case, it's also the feet because she's piked. And that brings up the question, which I chose to answer. What about the cast with the slight shoulder angle? And going back through years of judging, and if Tom or Pat or anybody disagrees with me, let me know. But I've been taught to go to the advantage of the gymnast, and it is to the advantage of the gymnast to measure the angle through the hands. And of course, we're supposed to be doing this while we're judging. I mean, it's just incredible, the expectations of what we're supposed to be able to do. And that's why I think it's really important for all of us to spend time. Summer's a great time to break down skills, to watch things slow motion, to watch them multiple times so that we can start training our eyes to be better, because we're supposed to notice a whole lot of things when we're judging.
Robin, so you know, you're in presenter mode, so we're seeing a couple of your screens at a time. I don't know if that was what you intended, but there might be a way to make it a little bit
well
better.
Let me see what I can do here. Let's see. I'm screen sharing.
Put it in slideshow, maybe.
Pardon?
On PowerPoint.
Oh, I'm in presenter view. Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Let's see. So that would be my view. And I would want not Huh. I would just want normal view, I think. Ah! Okay, slideshow from the beginning. We'll flip through these. Are you just seeing one now?
Yes.
Okay.
I think. Well, we're seeing a little preview of your next slide.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, as long as it isn't, as long as you can see, I guess we'll just go with it. We have some more definitions about our casts. They've got to be in a front support before they cast. And then as we get into Excel on bronze, the hips have to leave the bar. There's no angle requirement, but it is a special requirement worth 5/10. Silver, we're looking for 45 degrees below horizontal. I usually talk with my hands, so this is hard. But below horizontal, it's also a special requirement. Gold, we have a horizontal special requirement. All casts are subject to execution deductions. So that would be bent knees, bent arms, flex feet, archy backs, pikes, bent knees. I think I said that. And then for Excel, there is no special requirement if they just jump up and do it for a mount. That does not count as their special requirement. For platinum, they have to be above horizontal. For diamond, they have to be 45 degrees from vertical or above. And all casts are subject to execution deductions, as we said earlier. And this was a summary, thanks to Judy Dobransky for suggesting this slide. And this might be something as a judge you carry with you as part of your toolkit to remind you. And I have to say, because of the different levels that we have to judge, I judge 14 different levels of gymnastics when I count the Excel levels 3 to 10 and then NCAA. And as we get into the cast, we have different rules for all of those levels. Some of them are similar, but you know, you really have to review. And that, if I've learned anything over the decades of judging, it's that I cannot go into a competition blind. I have to make sure I prepare before I go in. And I think this is important, and we've got Megan that's going to be talking to us about Excel this afternoon, but the JO cast angle deductions are not used at all in Excel. Okay, at JO we have some cast guidance for level 3. They cast twice. It's a small cast and their legs have to be together. Level 4, they cast a horizontal twice, and level 5, they cast above horizontal twice. Level 6, they go to 45 degrees above horizontal, but they can get the special requirement back if it's more than horizontal. Level 6 and 7 for me gets confusing, and that's why I really have to make sure I review this before I go out and judge. Level 7, they're supposed to do a cast handstand, but we award the special requirement if they're 45 degrees from vertical. And then level 8 to 10, we give the B if the cast handstand is within 20 degrees of vertical, and we have deductions of 1 to 3/10 if that cast handstand is below 20 degrees, and we don't give the B value part. And I did not include the handstand chart. You guys, when you're in full judging mode, can do that. But let me share something. I told Judy Schock this years ago. She was talking about handstands, and you know, if they're within 10 degrees, there's no deduction. And if they're within 20 degrees, we still award them the B, but we start taking deductions if they're between 10 and 20. And what Judy said, and it's just stuck with me all these years, is that for coaches, athletes, and judges, we need to be thinking handstand, yeah. That's your 10 degrees. If you're kind of, yeah, you're within 10 degrees, you're not going to take a deduction. But if you start thinking 10 degrees, yeah, then you're all of a sudden going to be at 20 degrees. You're not hitting that handstand, whether you're an athlete, a coach, or even a judge. You start getting too liberal on when you're awarding those handstands. So thank you, Judy. That has stuck with me for years. So we're ready for our first polling question. Bree, if you want to put that up. And I don't know if we pull up 2 polling questions here, what happens?
I'm muted, sorry. I should be able to put up just one at a time.
Okay, great.
Here we go. Okay, so there's the first one.
Okay, so the question is, for Excel, a jump on the board to cast mount may be used to fulfill the cast requirement. Is that true or is that false?
I'm watching these come in. We had some comments about the slideshow.
Okay, I gotta, what am I doing?
If you go to the slideshow tab and press from current slide, or
Yeah.
click on an icon at the bottom and one says slideshow.
Yeah, from current slide, yeah. I'm seeing the poll. Is there something else showing? Because on my screen it's just showing the full.
I've
Look
got a
at-
couple screens up, but
Robin, look under your display settings up at the top.
Uh-huh.
Oh, go back into that
Okay.
PowerPoint view. Click from
Yeah.
current slide.
Okay. From current slide, yeah. Oh, and then
Yeah.
there's a little thing.
Up at the
Yeah.
top, it says show taskbar and display settings.
It doesn't say that.
You don't see that?
Nope. Let's see if I can find some. Hide presenter view. Here, I'll hide that. Is that better?
Yes, there you go.
there you go.
Okay. It was at the bottom for mine. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, the poll is slowing down. We've only got about 65% of people, but I'm gonna end it and we can.
Okay, super.
So those are the results. Most people said false.
And that is correct. For Excel, jumping up and doing a cast cannot be used to fulfill the cast requirement. Good job, guys. I'm screen sharing. Okay, poll. Oh. Whew. Okay. How I broke these up is I have 4 different categories. I have small casts, horizontal cast, above horizontal cast, and cast handstands. And we'll watch about 5 of each of these. For level 3 in Excel Bronze, there's no angle requirement, but the hips have to leave the bar, and it gets an A if it's for level Excel Bronze. Level 3 says we have to have the legs together. And Excel says that if the legs are not together at the peak of the cast, we deduct for leg separation, and it cannot be a mount or dismount for Bronze. For Silver, minimum of 45 degrees below horizontal gets an A value. Okay, so here we go. We're going to watch our first cast. Okay, here we go. Small cast, and you're going to see it regular motion, then you're going to see it slow motion. And I hope you're going, wait a minute, she didn't get up there. Is that really a cast? And the answer would be no, because she is not into a front support before she attempts the cast. Okay. And Tom, I don't know if I write any better than you do, but not really. Okay, here comes the second cast, just a small cast. She's still got her arms bent, but her shoulders are at least up by the bar. It's not a great cast, but she was able to do something out of it. So I did, obviously she never got her arms straight. I did give this cast, this might be one that was controversial, and that's okay. And then we just draw the angle through her lowest body part, in this case, about 24 degrees. Okay, let's go on and watch another one. This kid was a lot of fun. She looks over, she's a higher level gymnast, and I asked her to do a small cast. And so she looks over at me and is like, is that really what you wanted me to do? Like, well, yeah. And you can see nice shoulders are in front of the bar, straight arms, nice body position, very nice small cast. And would definitely be more than 45 degrees from vertical. This one's one of my favorite kids. This kid is a former level 10 gymnast, Natalie, and she's now a gymnast at Air Force Academy. She had not swung bars for a year. And so she got up and she was a great demonstrator of all kinds of things. So had a lot of fun with Natalie. Okay, about 37 degrees. And then here's one more small cast. Definitely a small cast, but she's away from the bars, so. So if you were thinking she's maybe kind of close to that 45-degree angle, this would be one where I think we as judges could disagree if we're doing Excel Silver. one of us may see it as 45, one of us may not. But I think it's helpful for our eyes to kind of see that here's one that's very close to that 45, that kind of minimal level for the Excel Silver. Okay, we are going to move into horizontal casts.
We have a quick question there, Robin.
Yeah.
On number 4, I'm not sure which one that is, but would you consider that a cast since she did not finish the KIP on number 4?
Number 4, this is, I think she finished the KIP, and I wonder if it's, if you meant something different than number 4, let us know. I think, you know, she kipped up and she cast, her shoulders are in front of the bar. I had no problem with that one.
Okay.
If they meant a different one, they might have meant number 2, but for sure the first one, we can go back. We got a minute. For sure the first one didn't finish her KIP, and so that one, no cast. You might have been thinking of number 2. I think this one was a little bit questionable, and we might have a difference of opinion on that one. I do see her shoulders at least over the bar, not real good, and she's got bent arms, so I've watched these so many times. I gave that one, but if fast motion, you might not.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers it. It doesn't always answer it, guys, because this is gymnastics and we are making judgments, and sometimes we have to agree to disagree, and working out those differences can be hard. But we do need to do it and move on. Horizontal casts, if you're level 4, you're required to do horizontal casts. If you miss the cast, we take a deduction if it's not at horizontal. If we go to gold, however, if you are 1 degree or more below horizontal, do not award the A, do not award the special requirement, and there's no amplitude deduction. Now for me, it's kind of like playing Monopoly, right? Go directly to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200. I mean, it's really a hard result. And I know in reading the Excel minutes, and I'm sure that Megan may talk about this a little bit, they did discuss this, but they decided for this year that they weren't going to change it. So this holds for this next year. So what happens with the gold level in particular, they can be short of the horizontal cast, which is a 5/10 special requirement, and they can also be short the special requirement of having 6 A or B elements if it's not horizontal, and they're counting on that. So hopefully the coaches have learned to add another skill so that we don't have this situation, and I know we've had it in some meets I've been at where one judge has been at a 9-0 start value and the other one's been at a 10-0 start value. Point apart before you even start. It's kind of hard. I call this, and since they didn't change the rules, I call this draconian compared to level 4 JO. And I know we're not supposed to be thinking JO and Excel are the same, but for us as judges, they kind of are with a few changes. And so I get to keep my dragon here. It's draconian. And I think it's just important for us to remember that. And I think this is an area where it really is important to be training our eyes. Okay, so let's watch some horizontal casts. Here's the first one. And you're probably thinking, well, it looks a little short, but she's getting up there. But when we actually measure the angle, you will see, you can see when we stop motion her, she's not at horizontal. We're gonna have to go through her toes or maybe her belly. So she's at 70 degrees. A horizontal cast would be 90 degrees. I had a lot of fun though. Those of you that know me, I'm an engineering background, and you know, measuring angles and stuff was really fun. When I discovered using coach's eye to do this, it was really fun. Okay, here's our second cast at horizontal. Okay, she does an extra swing. We're not counting that one, but there you go. I hope when you see that one, you're thinking, not the extra swing, of course, you're thinking, huh, this one, that you're thinking, oh yeah, that looks like it's at horizontal. And I'm going to give it away here when we measure this. This was the only child I was able to get a horizontal cast at. She's actually, when we measure this, she's just slightly above horizontal. We're going to go through her kind of her hips and feet, just slightly above horizontal. And I think what it drove home for me as a judge, these kids, I cannot tell you how hard, this was last summer, they have been working and working and working on these. You can see that they're working on having good body position. This is a really hard skill for the kids. It's really, really hard. Now, one of the things I wanted you to notice about this one is, notice not only that her legs and her body are above, right at about horizontal, a little bit above, but look how far away she is. Look at the space between her shoulders and the bars. Look at her arms are straight and she's just really pressed up there. I think that can be a clue for us is, you know, are they away from the bar? Okay, so I've given it away. You know that these next ones aren't going to be there, but let's look at them anyhow. Now that one you probably thought, well, a little short, but gosh, if she pointed her toes, maybe she could. You can kind of see that her back is probably horizontal, but it's her bottom leg and feet are just not quite there. And we're going to have to measure through that little toe that's hanging out there. So she's better than the one girl that we had, but she's still about 15 degrees short of horizontal. Okay, here goes another one that's trying to go horizontal after her extra swing. Okay, and when I look at that, I go, well, I don't know. Good thing I can watch it slow motion. I can see her feet apart a little bit. I could see that fast motion too. And this is one that's really fun when I actually measured the angle after her extra swing again. Because guess what? If not for those toes, okay, so 87, she's about 3 degrees short. If she had just pointed those toes a little harder, just a little more oomph on that cast, she probably would have gotten there. But this is the kind that's going to be hard, I think, for us to see, and we may have a difference as judges. We may have some of us think, well, that was horizontal. I'll take a little body position error and a little bit of feet. And another one go, oh no, that was more than 1 degree off that horizontal. So if you're at level 4, it's okay. You just take a slight deduction. But if you're at the Excel Gold level, you're going to maybe have some problems with the difference in start value. Okay, and here's another one. I thought this one was somewhat typical of what we can see. The banana back and the bent arms. And of course, the one on the high bar isn't as big. Bent arms, banana back, bent knees, feet flexed. Oh, and I'm supposed to also remember how high she was in her cast. This one, when we get around to watching it and putting the angle in, is kind of interesting because you can see that her feet are probably high enough if we could draw through the feet, but that's not going to be the lowest body part. It's going to be because of that archy back. It's going to be kind of her belly. So she is short. And of course, the one on the high bar is not going to be good. This is not the greatest angle to measure that one, but there she goes. Okay, so we're going to have a question here, but I want you to watch this one fast. Let me stop it a second. Fast motion again, and I'm going to let you actually judge this. The question is going to be, what is your execution deduction on the cast? We're not going to be talking about the height of the cast, but everything else, the bent arms, the archy back, et cetera, et cetera. So this is what you see. And you got to be thinking, what kind of deduction am I going to take on that? So Bree, if you don't mind putting the next poll question up, that'd be terrific.
There it is.
Okay, so for the last gymnast we saw, her cast and low bar, what kind of total execution deduction would you take in addition to the low cast angle if you're judging at a JO level? Are you going to take no deduction? Are you going to take a small deduction of 0.5 to 0.15, a medium deduction of 2 to 3, or a large deduction of more than 3/10?
Still getting a couple responses coming in, giving people a minute.
Great.
Okay, that's about how many responses we got last time, so I'm gonna end it.
Okay.
There we go.
And we had a little bit of a split, but most people were 2/10 or more in their deductions. And I agree. I've watched it a few times, and my first gut reaction was, well, at least a medium deduction, medium error, 2 to 3/10. But when you watch it over and over again, you go, oh, there's maybe more than just 3/10 there. So very good.
Can we maybe see that video again, Robin? Just
Oh, of course.
that would be helpful since there was a split.
Here we go. Bent arms, knees, feet, archy back. And when we watch it slow motion, bent arms is up to 2. You probably take a 10th, archy back probably a 10th, knees maybe a half to 1, and feet probably a half. And I'm just blurting those out there as I see it. You may have something different. It's nice to watch them slow motion, huh? But then she does get pretty straight. Okay, we'll move on. Now we're going to move into kind of a category of above horizontal casts. For platinum, they have to do a skill in clear support that goes above horizontal. That could be, I suppose, a clear hip or a Stalder or something like that, but usually most of the kids are doing casts. And it's still that thing, if it's horizontal or below, don't award the value part, don't award the special requirement. And then for diamond, they need to be at 45 degrees from vertical. If they're not, and that's a special requirement, if they're not 45 degrees from vertical, we don't award the A value part, and we don't award the special requirement. Okay. Now, for platinum and diamond, because we count A's and B's, kind of like we do in JO optional levels, we're counting the A's and B's. We're not going to miss 2 special requirements if they're short of their special requirement. They may lose a special requirement of 5/10, and they might be short an A, a 1/10, but so they could lose 6/10 in start value in theory, depending on how the routine's put together. But it's not as draconian in my little dragon as it is at the gold level. At level 5, they cast above horizontal, but if they don't make it, they have an execution deduction for amplitude. At level 6, they go to 45 degrees above horizontal. There's no amplitude deduction if they're up there 45 degrees or greater than or equal to 45 degrees from a vertical, well, from vertical or from horizontal, whichever way you want to measure that. And we still award the special requirement if they're above horizontal, and we would take an amplitude deduction. So like I said, for me personally, this is one of those areas, level 6 and level 7 bar casts, where it gets a little confusing to me. Maybe you guys are quicker on that than I am, but I have to always make sure I study and have a sheet in front of me to remind me of what the rules are, especially, when we have mixed levels when we're judging. Okay, so here's the first one we'll watch. And that's an interesting one. She bends her knees. So she's probably above horizontal with her feet, but, and you can see it in stop motion, she's above the horizontal with her feet, but we're going to measure through her knees because they're the lowest body part, and she's pretty much right at horizontal. Okay, we'll move on to second girl here. Oh boy, here we get into where do the feet come together. I think you're going to agree that it's above horizontal where her feet come together, but you still have to make a judgment of where the heck did those feet come together. And then we'll measure it this time. Right about there. And this is one I'm going to measure through her hands, she does maybe have a slight shoulder angle, but she's very close to that 45-degree level. So if she were level 6, we'd say, okay, we'll award your special requirement, no deduction on amplitude. We would take a body position error, of course, and probably a little bit on her feet. Okay. And then this is the dilemma that I was talking about. And here's the kid that has the a little more shoulder angle than the last one did. Let's go. And the question is, where do I measure that from? Do I measure that from her shoulder or from her hands? And I wanted to show you the difference there. So we're going to watch this one twice. Okay, so this one I measured from her hands. And you're going to see that that's, you know, it's a nice shoulder angle, or nice angle. It's more than 45 degrees from horizontal, so she's going to be fine for level 6. And then the next slide, I'm going to show the same athlete, but this time I'm going to say, well, she had a little bit of a shoulder angle, and I'm going to measure it through her shoulder. And you will see that that is not to her advantage if I measure it through her shoulder. Wait a minute, did I just do the hands? I'm sorry. Did I do the hands twice? Shoot. Shoot. Maybe did I skip ahead? Oh, I did skip ahead. Okay, here's how, if we measured it through her shoulders, you can see it's not good. So I believe, based on many years of judging and having it pounded into us, that we go to the benefit of the gymnast. We might take a body position error on her, but we would measure that through her hands like we did here this second time through. And if anybody disagrees with me, let me know, but I suspect we would all feel pretty much the same way about that. Okay. And then here's our last one. Oh boy, here we got the issue of when did the feet came together, when were those hips extended? And we got to make this decision, you know, fast. So I had a lot of fun here, as you can see. Well, where are her feet together? Oh, well, not there. Okay. Her hips extended kind of right about there. And this was one I measured with the shoulder angle. You might disagree and think we should measure through her hands. If we measured through her hands, she'd be, you know, at 45 with no problem. But anybody want to watch? Let's watch that one fast motion again, just because I think these are the ones that are hard to see. You know, when I'm watching that fast motion, I'm thinking, oh gosh, maybe she's more like, and at fast motion, regular motion, I'm thinking, gosh, it's maybe close to horizontal. But when I watch it slow motion, I can see that, well, no, actually I can't see it until I measure it. It's not as bad as I thought it was fast motion, regular motion. So, okay, so then we're going to move on to the cast to handstand. And
I had a question, Robin.
Oh yeah,
I could maybe take a stab at it, but I'm going to throw it at you instead. You mentioned that looking for when the feet come together in a straddle cast. What do you do for a straight body cast? What do you look for then? Is the question.
Well, you're looking for, I guess, the height of it, the where she's the most extended. The rules said even on the straddle cast, you know, if they never bring their feet together, you would look for the extension of the hips, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment call, but it's going to be, ooh, where's their, if they're straight, it's going to be where they're the highest point, I guess.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. If they're straight, we go, wow, what an animal. strong athlete that does it straight bodied. Okay, and this is, now here's a common one. We've seen different cast angle pictures somewhat like this. And this is for level 7, 8, 9, 10, where, again, thank you, Judy Schock. If they're within 10 handstand, yeah, that's 10 degrees. There's no deduction for the amplitude. If they start being 10 degrees, yeah, then we're starting to get down to that 20-degree range. We have the half tenth, and then as we go lower than that, we have more deductions. Once we're lower than 20 degrees, we do not award the B. Okay, so here's where we have that level 7 exception again. A cast handstand is the special requirement, and we would apply the angle deductions, but we also award the special requirement if the cast angle is greater than or equal to 45 degrees. So I have to think back through this and think, well, okay, I might be awarding a special requirement, because if she got somewhere near 45 degrees or a little bit above, but she could lose a B element, which is worth 3/10, and then I also have execution deductions. So I have to really think about that. And a lot of, like our level 6 and 7, those routines will be very short. And sometimes if they're short a handstand or short of 45 in this case, they will lose their, if they're short the handstand, they're going to lose the B element. And that's something I know I've often thought for coaches when they're coaching kids at the more beginning levels, that don't always count on getting a cast handstand, because, you know, you might not be awarded the B. So here's looking for a response. If you can figure out where you can raise your hand, could you raise your hand if you sometimes get confused about the level 7 rules on cast? I just want to know I'm not the only person that has to really think through this. And
We've definitely got some hands going up. We're a little over 40 right now.
God,
45.
I'm not alone. So if you come judge with me, you can come judge with me anytime. We'll have to review this every time we judge this level. Very good. Thanks, you guys. Okay, so let's watch some cast to handstand. Here's our first one. And hopefully you're looking at that and going, yep, cast handstand, a little bit of foot form, but very nice. And again, this is interesting when I actually measured this. And, you know, my measurement can be off a little bit because, hey, I'm across the gym and, you know, but I have to go through it. Well, her toes are sticking out. That's kind of, so she's definitely going to get credit for doing the handstand. We're not going to take an amplitude deduction on that one. We would take a little bit, probably a half tenth for those feet if you saw them. I'll warn you, this is my best handstand example of this whole group. Okay, here comes Natalie. Remember, we love Natalie. Okay. Remember the Judy Schock rule. Are you going handstand, yeah? Or are you going, I don't know. I hope you're going, yeah. Probably not. And when I measured kind of through that, we can see that she is more than 20 degrees from that handstand. So I think this example, like I say, I love Natalie because she was giving me some great examples. And imagine that she hadn't done bars in a year, and to just come in the gym and start swinging bars it was great that she could do what she could do. But these are the kinds of handstands that are not handstands. Okay, so we would not be awarding the B for that one. Okay, here comes another one. Oh boy, here's another one with the feet coming together issue. Plus she's got flexed feet, so, and bent arms, so she's making me work. I don't think this is a handstand, and hopefully that's your reaction too, because those feet come together. But if she's level 7, is she within that 45 degrees? And then we got that issue if she's got a little bit of a shoulder angle, but I already decided I'm measuring through her hands. Oh, okay, she's up there. She's up there. But when I saw that fast motion, I wasn't quite sure that she was actually up there. So let's just watch that again, fast motion. Feet together. Ooh. it's a little, like I said, it can be a little deceptive when we're watching it fast motion. I know Tom was talking about that too in his session. That sometimes what you see when you spend time watching it slow is a little bit different than what you thought. Okay, where are her feet together? Somewhere around there. So if this were level 7, if my eye were really good, I would award that she's within 45 degrees of vertical and I'd take deductions. But when I watched it fast, that wasn't my first impression. And a lot, like I said, a lot of that is because her legs seem to come together rather late. Okay, here we go with another one. Oh, I don't care what this girl does. She has pointed toes. I am a complete and total sucker for toes that are pointed with that beautiful toe point. I will own that. That's one of my biases. Her feet are apart a little bit, but they are pointed. Nice. And when I actually measure her, she's actually a little short of that 10 degrees. So at least from this angle and the way I filmed it. So I might have that 1/2 tenth deduction for being a little short of handstand on this one. But she's blown me away so much with beautiful pointed toes that I probably only took a 1/2 tenth. Maybe I should have taken a 1/2 tenth for the height of the handstand plus maybe a 1/2 tenth because the feet are a little bit apart.
Robin, on the last one, number 3.
Let's go back there. Yeah.
Question, wouldn't you deduct for feet and look at the angle on her ankles?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I know. I think I know the answer to what they're. I had to call Linda Thorberg about the rule that you go through the midpoint of the. If we go through the midpoint of the foot, I think that's where I measured this one.
Mm-hmm.
Versus the bottom point of the foot, and I understand the question. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's something I've been wondering too, as you draw these lines, are you looking at the bottom of the stomach or the middle of the core?
Yeah.
The middle of the
Yeah. And even if I went through the bottom of her foot, she'd still be within that 45 degrees, I think.
Mm-hmm. But so you're kind of looking at that midpoint?
Yeah, that's what the rule says. And
Yeah.
we can go back and look there. It says the midpoint.
And
but
you
it does
would
get
definitely take,
I'm sorry?
would take a foot form deduction as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. And shoulder angle, and I'm sure I'd find a few more things. Head out a little bit. Yeah. But like I say, what I wanted with this session is not so much to be judging. Here's what the deductions are, but much more of helping our eyes to see these better.
I have another question here, and I think it's something I could answer, but I think everybody has a little bit of a different answer on this one. This is from a new judge, and she wants to know, how do you make note of the cast angle in your shorthand while you're judging a full routine?
Personally, well, let me see if I can I go to my if I can go to my whiteboard. That might be above my grade. Oh, I can annotate. Oh, wait a minute. Come back here.
To draw right on.
Yeah, I can just draw. When I'm judging, let's say she does a glide kip and then she does a cast, I will just, if it was that angle or if it's that angle, I just kind of draw the cast. If it's that angle, I just kind of try to, as I go, kind of draw the angle in and then come back and take the deductions later. I don't know how other people do it.
I know for me, I sometimes am not great at getting that angle accurate. So as much as I can, I try to put an A or a B right above my cast as soon as I know, or an X if it's, no, I didn't give that.
So if you had a cast, oops, let me try that again. I got to go to the Tom Cole School of Drawing. So you have a cast and you would just write A above it.
Yeah, it would depend on the level you're at, obviously, if there is an A cast. And I personally am bad at drawing the
sometimes hand. I write no.
Yeah, especially if I'm at gold or one of those levels where I'm looking for, did I give it or not? I'll put a check or an X to kind of let my brain know right away. I don't know if anybody else has.
That's what I do, Bree. A check if they met the requirement and then an X if they didn't.
Some people use some people use the check as a half-tenth deduction. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
a
I bet.
style question, and it's a good question as a new judge. From the time I do compulsories, when I'm doing compulsory bars, that's where the first time is, level 3, level 4, level 5. Like I said, I'm always drawing the angle in of where I think the cast is. And even though the correct shorthand for cast is something like that, I'm often just drawing a line in because I got to go faster. And then I do really weird things. Like on this case, the kid's on the left side, but I would draw, my brain flips and I will draw it to the right side. I don't know. It's just, that was a
Yeah.
good question.
This person said that was helpful, so I hope so a little bit. Everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
Judy Schalk had a comment, our bar guru, that
Hey.
even with a small shoulder angle, she would use that as her reference point.
She would draw through the shoulder angle. Okay.
I believe
Okay.
that's what she's saying.
Okay. And that's fine. It's not defined. It's really not defined. So, you know, that's how judging can be, right? But I think with that, the gymnasts need to be stronger. Now, this is really interesting. Oh, okay. I can do it with my rolly thing. What number we're on? Number 5. Did we see 5? Yeah, we saw 5. She was the flexi feet. Did we see her?
I think we were on number 5. I don't remember if we watched her yet.
Okay. Well, we'll go. Of course, I got to find. There she is. Oh yeah, no, we didn't do her yet. Now she actually goes over. So measuring her angle is really, this is not going to be correct exactly. Obviously on this kid, we'd have deductions for her loose back and her feet and her knees and her arms and everything else. And this was interesting in trying to, that's kind of her lowest part, but her feet are over the other way. So I didn't measure that right. I think we would just give that the handstand. The feet are over the other way. So anyhow, just to show you that drawing angles in doesn't cover every situation. This kid would certainly be awarded her handstand, and we would take execution errors for the sloppiness and the looseness. Okay, and here's number 6. Darn girl, don't bend your knees. So this one, and if I had been consistent and gone through the midpoint of her foot, I probably would have said that was around 10 degrees. So this is one where we as judges might disagree a little bit. One of us may say, I took a little half-tenth, she's a little bit short. The other one might have said, no, I thought she was up there okay. But hopefully we all saw the bent knees on the way up and deducted for that. So there's going to be some differences. And like I said, if you saw at the beginning of my slideshow, I said, hey, I don't guarantee that I drew these angles exactly right. And I think sometimes when the kids are close, you're going to get a slightly different answer. But that's why we have 2 of us judging or 4 of us judging, and we average the scores, because sometimes there just isn't an absolute correct answer unless they're doing absolutely perfect gymnastics, which of course, I don't think anybody does exactly perfect gymnastics. Sometimes they come very close. Okay, so as we finish up here, and gosh, yay, got it in on time. Did we accomplish our goal? And remember, our goal was to help you. We've now watched 21 different casts, whether they're small casts, horizontal casts, above horizontal casts, or handstands. And like I said, I think for me, putting this together, it was exactly what we're learning here. Real confidence knows that there's always more to know. As I put this together, there were questions. There are some things that are not answered, and we have to use judgment. But so hopefully this is helpful to you in getting to see some different angles and some different casts and watching them over and over again. I do highly recommend that. before you go to judge bars, that you spend some time. And by the way, one of the places I go to preview gymnastics before I go to judges, I just go to YouTube, and I'll go into YouTube and I'll type in, let's say I'm doing level 9 bars, and I'll put in usually the year 2020 or 2019 because I want stuff that's pretty current. And there's a lot of parents that put a lot of gymnastics routines up on YouTube. And I found that some people don't know you can make YouTube videos go slow motion. There's a little gear on YouTube, and you can watch slow motion. You can watch it at 25% speed. You can watch it at 50% speed. Or if you're trying to get really good on hands, on your shorthand, you could watch it at 150% and see if you can go that fast with your hand. But I find that to be a really helpful tool. Of course, the videos that Judy Dobransky puts together, and I know Judy's on here, and she's got a brand new set of videos that she's mailing out with flash drives to your state judging directors. And so there are some places you can go, but like I said, I have found YouTube to be an interesting place to go. I would warn you, be careful and don't take whatever score is up there don't think that you have to match a score. Use it just as a tool for yourself to help you get ready to judge.
Robin, we have a couple people here saying that this was just really helpful and mission accomplished. So thank you so much. We do have one other question. Somebody asking if you could, a couple coming in. If you could talk at all about the clear hip angle, and do you measure that the same as you would a cast angle?
Yes, I believe so. I didn't spend time looking at my book about clear hips, but yeah.
Yeah, different deductions, but same thing, looking at the hands and the shoulders and the angle, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
The question says cast angles out of clear hip circles, but I think that's what they're trying to ask. Is just
yeah, that when you do the clear hip.
Yeah.
And we're going to have that same issue on clear hips, right? Because you're going to have some of them with the shoulder angle and some of them when they're stretching their handstand. Yeah. That sounds like a whole nother presentation to be made.
It does. Lots of people said they really enjoyed it and thanking you. So good job. And we are going to take a short break now.
First, I had a couple of things.